Alrighty, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you again very much for being here. Never ceases to amaze me that people will actually be willing to show up and hear me talk. So I appreciate you guys being here. Today's talk, we're going to do lower cross syndrome. This one is very near and dear to my heart because I had a very bad case of this probably up to about a year ago. I probably had it for about 10, 15 years, just wasn't aware of it. Started doing a lot of the things to help fix it. Never thought I would squat or deadlift or do any of those types of exercises ever again. But I've been doing a lot of those lately, and a lot of my back pain has been completely gone for probably a good 6 to 8 months. So for those with low back pain, this is one for you, absolutely. So let's go ahead and jump in. I have a presentation for you guys as well on this one, very short. Let's see here, share screen. All right, does everybody see my lower cross syndrome? Can I get a yes?
Yes.
Yes, indeed.
Perfect.
Yes.
Okay, so a couple slides here. To start off, again, we're going to start with some of the muscles that are involved. Okay, so you can see this long list of the muscles over here that are typically tight. And then the muscles over here that are ones that are typically what we call inhibited or weak or in a lengthened state that we want to tighten up by getting a little bit stronger. Okay, but the main ones we're going to focus on are these four. Okay, so here's your lower crossed, here's your X. Okay, so the muscles that we consider to be tight are what we call the erector spinae. Okay, so those are the muscles, they actually run pretty much all the way up the back. They're right along the spine. Their primary job is to keep you upright, okay, and extend your back when you're trying to sit up tall. Okay, then we have the tight hip flexors. Those are the ones right in the front of your hip. You can kind of feel that pelvis bone right in the front. Most of them attached there. And so, yeah, those typically get tight.
I am going to go by the house, get the mail, drop off the paint, make sure the paint's in my car, please.
I'm going to ask everyone to go ahead and mute their mics for me real quick.
When you get ready to leave, I put it right on.
Oh, goodness, sorry. Oops.
You're okay. Okay, so there's our tight line. Okay, just like in the upper cross syndrome, we had a tight line here. And now we have a weak line. Okay, typically what we see in those with lower cross, and pretty much just generally across the board, it's just kind of lifestyles lead to this, is we see weak core, so weak abdominals, and then we see the big guy back here, gluteus maximus, is weak as well. Okay, so when the gluteus maximus isn't strong and pulling, you can see it attaches right here to the back of the pelvis. When that's strong and contracting, it pulls that pelvis down and back, which is where we want it to be, which will then pull the front up. Okay, so that'll then lengthen our hip flexors, lengthen our erector spinae, shorten and strengthen, hopefully, our abdominals, and shorten and strengthen our gluteus maximus. Okay, so those are the four we're going to focus on today with the exercises that I show you. Okay, so we're going to start here in the top left, and she's a little bit over exaggerated in this picture. Okay, I don't expect anybody to be doing almost a full split like that, but I'm going to walk you through this exercise the way I do it, that I feel is more convenient for everyday use. Let me exit this here. Okay, everybody see me now?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So let's walk through this hip flexor one. Okay, so I'm going to jump up on the table here. Get this chair out of the way. So the main thing we're trying to accomplish here, when we sit, our hips are flexed, right? So that's shortening our hip flexors. So we want to get into a position where we're upright, okay? So one way to actually just do a stretch for the hip flexors, you just bring the other foot up and you're here, okay? So now this hip flexor right here in the front of my left hip is being stretched, okay? Now the way I want to emphasize this and focus a little bit more on it is I want to go ahead and squeeze this glute muscle and try to rotate my pelvis backwards. Okay, I'm gonna feel a nice stretch all through the front of my hip, right in through here. Okay, so that's what we're going for, is trying to stretch this while inadvertently getting a little bit of glute activation and strengthening. Okay, another thing I want to touch on with this is a good, if it's possible with your computer setup, find a way to get yourself into this position and just sit there while you're working on the computer. Okay, so for instance, you know, this is the floor, right? And my desk is here that I'm working on. I have this little pad. It's super, super squishy, so I prefer that. But you can use throw pillows, whatever you can find around the house. Go ahead and put your knee on that. Bring that other foot up. Boom, now you're at your office. You're at your desk. Okay, and you can work. If you can maintain this for 5 minutes, 10, 15, 30, an hour, whatever you can maintain, do that for a little while, and then switch. I'm going to switch knees. And I'm going to do this for 15, 20, 30 minutes. Okay? And work there. If you can, this is what we call half kneeling. If you can get into full kneeling, that's great too. So that's both knees, same time, sitting here like this. Okay? It's just one of those things that we can do throughout the day, as we were talking about in week 1, about just changing your position, right? And moving. That's one of those options. Second one on here, it's literally just a posterior pelvic tilt is what we call it. Okay, so let's look at the, oh, I guess you don't have the picture up anymore. Let me bring it back up real quick. Okay, so let's look at this second picture here. Okay, so A looks very much like the posture that we preach that you want to be sitting in while you're at your computer, right? She's sitting up tall, her shoulders are, you know, kind of back, but she's got a little bit of extra arch here in her lower back, which I'm not the biggest fan of, okay? This is a little bit straighter, okay? So she's leaning against the back, so that's helping. C is what we kind of say, like, oh, don't sit like that. That looks horrible. However, that's the position I want you to get into, okay? So you see how her pelvis is rotating back? Here it's rotated forward. Here it's straight up. And here it's going back. So what I want you to do on this one, let me stop sharing. And you're going to sit on the front of your seat, the front of your chair, okay? And you're going to try to tuck your pelvis up into your belly button, okay? If you got to lean back and slouch into your back of your chair, that's fine. I don't want you to hold this all day, okay? But I want you to rotate that pelvis backwards, trying to tuck the pelvis up into your belly button. And again, we want to squeeze those glutes if possible, okay? For those of us who have low back pain, the tightness right in here, you're going to feel that. You're going to feel that little bit of a stretch. That's what we want to go for, okay? Now, so those are the two stretching, or what we call lengthening movements or exercises. Now I want to go into the two strengthening. For anybody who's ever done a group fitness class of mine, or anybody's really, had any sort of programming, you'll see these two exercises, okay? These are crucial to just about everything we do in the gym, posture, sitting, walking, running, anything, okay? These are very, very critical. Am I still sharing? No, it's me. Okay. We're gonna go back up on the table just so you can see me. Glute bridge. Very simple movement. Flat on your back, knees up to about 90, bottom up in the air. Hold for a couple seconds, come back down, okay? It's not just the movement. We want to really make sure we're squeezing back here, okay? So I'm going to get to the top, and I'm going to squeeze. Squeeze, come back down. Come back up, squeeze, come back down. If you do these and they're super easy, all you got to do is lift one leg up, squeeze, come back down, okay? It makes them a little bit more challenging. But we got to make sure we keep those glutes nice and strong, okay? Last one, it's your standard run-of-the-mill everyday front plank, okay? Trying to find that position. I don't know if my table's long enough for me. Forearms on the ground, knees feet off. Nice straight body. Let me flip around so you can see my upper body. So I'm here on my forearms, legs straight, and again, I'm going to try to tuck my pelvis up into my belly button. Okay, you guys see that little bit of movement there? And that's where we want to hold. If you've never done it before, start with 10 seconds. If you're somebody who's been in the gym for a while, you should be shooting for a minute or two. Okay? Now I'm all out of breath after those 4 things. See, it doesn't take much. Okay, so that's all I have on lower cross syndrome. It's very simple. 4 little exercises to help you get going. Does anybody have any questions on those? Are you guys still there?
Still here.
Yeah.
Still here.
Still here.
So that one's, you know, the movements are a little bit more complicated. It's not as easy to do like in an office setting, right? Unless you have your own office and you can drop down on the floor and do some of these. But for me, the big one is that half kneeling position while you're at your desk. So for instance, I'm at my desk right now. I got my little pad and now I'm sitting up. Okay, so I'm getting that hip flexor in a more lengthened position, allowing it to get out of that shortened position that causes it to tighten up, that leads to all these characteristics of lower cross syndrome. Okay, so if I had to pick one of these, that's probably the easiest to add to your, you know, every day, it'd be that one. Okay, just getting that hip flexor strength lengthened a little bit. Okay. Today's talk is called lower cross syndrome. Okay, guys, that's all I have. Next week, I'm going to do one on numbness and tingling into the hands, like kind of forearms down into the hands. I've heard a lot of people having some issues with that. Can lead to carpal tunnel if it's one nerve over the others, but I experienced it, so I kind of want to walk through it with you guys. You won't feel like you're kneeling at all, right? You may eventually come there and do that padding and your joints might start getting a little achy. That's okay, just switch knees. How about now? Check, 1, 2.
Yeah, you have microphone issues.
Has it been the whole time?
No, it just started.
It just started.
Good.
Bless you.
Kind of started earlier and it's gotten worse as the time has gone on. Static happening when you talk, yeah.
I got through it. So, let's see here. Question. What about using the ball chairs or standing desks? Standing desks are fantastic. Again, it's just one of those things that helps you get up and get moving throughout the day. Okay, is the audio still pretty good?
Much better.
Now it's back. Better. You might have to repeat a little bit of what you said, though.
On the, let's see here. The question I saw was,
The ball chair.
yes, the ball chair or standing desks. So I love a standing desk. It just lets you change your position throughout the day, right? That's what we were talking about, especially in week 1. It's more about the movement and getting out of those same positions that you're in all day long. The standing desk allows you to do that, okay? I like the stability ball for working at your desk as well. That allows you to do some of those like pelvic tilts and different movements a lot more easily. Plus you're activating your core. So that's always a good thing whenever we can add that. My phone. Okay. Heavy static. Oh, okay. think my phone was too close to the speakers and it was kind of picking up some stuff from there. Better. I stand on a balance board so that I am always moving. Kathleen, that's great. Anything we can do to get outside of the normal, just sitting and staying, you know, sedentary the whole day. That's good. That's going to make big differences. I like that. All right, guys, that's 15 minutes. Thank you again for being here. You guys are great as always. Enjoy your points, and we will see you next week.
Thank you, Wayne.
My
Thank you,
pleasure.
Wayne.
Thank you, Wayne.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Wayne.
Nice, quick and focused presentation.
Slides with the exercises, and I will send them to the participant list of people who are signing in. Make sure you signed in on that Google form. If you haven't signed in on that yet, let me copy it again so you can get your points.
Thanks, Doc. Awesome.
Where's the Google form?
I'm trying.
Chat. Ah, there you go.
Yes, I will
And
stay.
I got on. All right. So you're Vega, right? Thank you very much.
You guys are very welcome.
Bye-bye.
Hopefully you guys are learning a thing or two. If you take one nugget from each video, then I consider it a success. So
I'm learning that as soon as they fix my knee, I've got a lot of catching up to do.